Stewart Haas Racing is one of the teams that we need to pay a lot of attention to in the following period, because a lot of changes are bound to happen, but not for the greatest reasons at all, with two of the most experienced drivers departing the team as this season ended. Finding a replacement for a team that was already underperforming as it was, and placing the majority of their hopes on the 45-year-old veteran Harvick is going to be a mission impossible in and of itself. And adding the tension that is brewing between the team owners, we might be in for some huge surprises. Is this the start of the downfall for SHR? One that will be boosted by the biggest driver lineup change that has ever hit the team since the beginning in the sport? SHR has had trouble finding competitiveness in their cars, and the fact that it was Kevin Harvick who scored the best results for the team in the past couple of seasons says it all. They have no valid replacement for the legend himself. I'm not trying to throw dirt on Harvick's name, quite the contrary. I'm emphasizing his importance in the team by showing great leadership, but the fact that nobody was able to follow up on that speaks volumes as to where the team is currently headed. To top that off, Aric Almirola has also decided that enough is enough, and after a hot and cold game of making decisions to retire just for him to annul them and continue racing, the 39-year-old has decided that there's nothing more for him in this team. Yes, he wasn't the fastest driver a team would have wanted to have, and if you consider that he has only won twice in the 6 seasons he's spent with the team, not making the playoffs from 2021 onwards, the loss of the Florida native is poised to hurt the team a lot more than originally anticipated. What is so wrong with SHR right now that it amplifies the departure of the two most experienced drivers on the team? For starters, the 2023 season was the first winless campaign the team has had since 2008. At which point they have never won a Cup Series race in their history. Since the start of the 2021 season, SHR has only tailed 4 wins, and from 2014 to 2020, they had 5 individual seasons with more than 4 wins, including 2 double-digit seasons from 2018 to 2020 alone. The fact that they never had a season with fewer than 3 victories speaks volumes about where the team was at one point in its existence and where it is right now. With Tony Stewart's massive focus on the SRX as the independent series that is poised to be NASCAR 2.0, it seems like the leadership mentality is lacking in this team. Gene Haas is also invested in another motorsports racing project in Formula One, so maybe the fish smells from its head in this particular scenario. The loss of Harvick was poised to deal great damage to the team because you just don't get to replace a champion and one of the top 10 all-time winningest drivers in the sport and expect to see the same productivity from the number 4 team. The fact that Harvick was the sole playoff driver in 2023 is yet again an anchor point we are trying to make about his importance to the team. With Almirola's departure as well, the veterans' presence in SHR, something that they have built their hopes and entire team on, is already out through the window. The current state of SHR is more or less desperate, because if we are talking about the 2 other drivers, Briscoe and Preece, they are not achieving what the team would want them to, as Briscoe only has 1 win and 1 playoff appearance in 3 seasons with the team, while Preece has never won a race nor made the playoffs in 4 career Cup Series seasons. So you have 2 veterans out, and you have 2 struggling drivers who are very unlikely to make the playoffs in the upcoming year as well, now that the veteran presence in the team is out. And what is it that you can do to soften the blow? Well, first you ought to look into the replacements, and with Noah Gragson being linked to SHR as Almirola's replacement, it's definitely a fresh breath that the team desperately needs. But will it actually help them considering all the bad vibes and negative energy that is surrounding this particular driver at all? Even before Gragson was released from Legacy Motor Club, after his controversial actions on social media, he was rumored to lose his place due to underperformance. So that is not the start you want to have ahead of your voyage with a new team. In the 21 starts that he's had for Legacy Motor Club, he has scored just 2 top 20 finishes, and many of the NASCAR experts feel like the social media scandal was used only as a boost in their case of trying to get rid of Gragson, with the question being whether SHR would love to deal with the outcast, who would have every motivation in this world to prove himself valuable to the team. While this option is the best for Gragson, he is not that certain of joining SHR's failing society and is still considering a move in the Xfinity Series until something more valuable opens up for him. This just goes to show that some of the drivers consider driving in the Xfinity Series rather than driving for SHR in the Cup Series, which just opens up the eyes of the team as to where they are currently standing in their competitiveness level. Gragson has been linked with JGR's Xfinity Team Series, and if he opts out of this move to build his confidence back up and shows that he can thrive under the right conditions, then it would be the ultimate blow for SHR, and it will make them rethink their entire point of existing in NASCAR. So if this is the case, where should SHR put its focus? From 4 of their cars, they only have 1 competitive outlet that has retired at the end of the season. So where does that make you look? For starters, the crew chiefs of the teams have been rather questionable, and this has been the Achilles heel of the team for quite some time, as they were quite unable to attract some quality high-profile members that would definitely put the drivers in the most optimal driving position. This is one of the reasons why the veteran Harvick was able to do so well mostly on his own. And while I'm not trying to shadow the impact that his crew chief has had on the most successful driver for SHR in the past couple of years, it goes without saying that the majority of the success lies in Harvick's hands. The only crew chiefs that have been proven to build fast race cars are Grubb and Rodney, and without proper crew chiefs, the likely aftermath is that you cannot attract top engineers either. This was why the team was forced to bring back Chad for tires and Fuel Johnston this year, as well as Drew Blick for the number 10. Another theory is that the team pays little to no attention to the simulation, something that has been pivotal not only in NASCAR but in other racing competitions as well. NASCAR teams invest a lot of time in simulating how the track will affect their cars and how the cars are going to feel on a certain surface. And according to rumors and reports from NASCAR experts, SHR is not very keen to invest a lot of time in this. Ford as a car is generally not very well known for being an aerodynamic miracle, and with a shallow drag, they are incredibly fast in the straight lane, which is why their qualifications tend to do very well. But when the race event comes, the pace and performance drop straight away, which means that while the team is fast in the straights, once they approach a corner, the low amount of downforce is just throwing them off the hook, and there is nothing much they can do about it. If you compare Ford's downforce to the Toyotas and Chevrolets, you'll understand why the drop-off in the corners is so big. And with 2 very young drivers, one heavily underperforming one, and one legend who used to carry the team on his back up until the last year, this is the reality that Stewart Haas Racing is currently placed in. Finding a replacement is going to be crucially important for the team, but be that as it may, the focus of the owners needs to change massively if we are to see improvements being achieved in this team. With Gene Haas having a greater emphasis on the ever-growing F1 market in the USA, and with Tony Stewart pouring a lot of his attention into the NHRA and SRX series, the leadership that is present in HMS and Penske is lacking in SHR. So if they are not able to find a proper replacement for Harvick and a driver who would be ready to carry the mid-tier car they have into the playoffs, we are very likely going to see none of the SHR drivers make the playoffs in 2024. What do you think about SHR's future? Let us know in the comments below.